I took refuge in the church. And unfortunately, one of the most significant ways in which one rose in the ranks of the church was to be a more loud Jew hater. And I was really good at it because I knew my people. Well, I rose in the ranks and to the point where I became the bishop. So when the Baal Shem Tov called me out and he reminded me who I was, and he demanded that I make teshuvah, that I repentance for all the terrible things that I had done. I remembered who I was. I knew my story, and I was devastated. I was relieved to a certain extent, but I was devastated. And I asked him, how will I ever know if I've been forgiven? And the Baal Shem Tov thinks for a second and says, someday someone's going to come to you and tell you your story, and then you will know. I wanted to share this story with you because it describes the reality of Jewish life for 2,000 years. It is so easy. It is, frankly, desirable. It is what we would prefer to live in a time and live in an age in which we believe all that is behind us. As one of my children said to me yesterday, feels like for millennials, the Holocaust is like slavery. It's ancient news. It's so in the past, it has no bearing on our lives today. As we know, October 7th arrived to remind us. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. So the question is, how do we live in our world, in our life today, post-October 7th? That is the question. That's what's been keeping me up at night. I probably listen to too many podcasts. I probably read too much literature on the subject. Yesterday, I listened to a podcast that was about two survivors from the Nova massacre, an Ethiopian Israeli woman and a Bedouin Muslim man. The Bedouin Muslim man was a security guard, and she was a participant at the festival. And somehow, technology has been able to take their GPS coordinates combined with any video or audio that came with, that they were able to capture while they were surviving, barely, on October 7th at the Nova Festival. And AI has now built a video set of images that can then be watched through a set of VR, virtual reality goggles. That description of what they endured was enough to set a fire in me that as I stood there last night for Kol Nidre, I closed my eyes, the flashbacks were so powerful. I say this to you because I don't know where you are on the spectrum of thinking about, being worried about, losing sleep over October 7th, but I think that if we are not losing a little bit of sleep after October 7th, we are not paying attention. And the teshuvah that I want to encourage us all to engage in is a turning towards the reality that despite may think about the present Israeli government, despite its policies with regard to settlements, despite where you fall on the spectrum of calling Israel apartheid or colonialist or white, Israel is still the country 90% of its residents come from refugees. Israel is first and foremost a refugee project. And when we forget that, we forget it to our danger, to our endangerment. In 1945, after the Holocaust, there were 250,000 Jewish displaced people in displaced persons camps that for more than 3 years, if you can imagine, lived in displaced persons camps that were just previously Bergen-Belsen, Majdanek, Auschwitz. And by 1945, even with the full knowledge, even with the US Congress's full knowledge of all the horrors that had taken place in the concentration camps during the Holocaust, with 6 million Jews killed, the US borders were closed. Those 250,000 people literally had no place else to go. And over the next 10 years, the 900,000 Jews in Arab countries who were being kicked out of their countries, they had no place else to go. America's borders, Canada's borders, Australia's borders, South Africa's borders, Brazil's borders, all of the borders were closed. Did you know that in 1948, Baghdad was 25% Jewish? Today, New York City is 10% Jewish, and it's the most Jewish city in the country. 25% Jewish. In 1952, it was 0% Jewish. Not because the Baghdadi Jews who had lived there for 1,000 years believed that property values were better in Palestine or Israel. It was because they had nowhere else to go. And so I wonder how people claiming that the question of Israel's right to exist is a valid question, I wonder what they mean about those million people, more than a million people. This is nothing for the 450,000 Jews that also had run, because they had no place else to go, from 1890 up through 1920 up through 1945. What is the world saying? We've heard that some of these students and faculty and people around the country and the world who are saying Israel doesn't have a right to exist, they also somehow crazily, strangely say that the Jews should go back. More often than not, what do they say? They should go back to Poland. Before the Holocaust, there were 4 million Jews living in Poland. At the end of the Holocaust, there were 400,000. 90% of the Jewish population. The truth is, the Allies won World War II. The Jews lost the Holocaust. I will happily have an argument and conversation, argumental conversation, engaging conversation with anybody about the quality of Israeli governance, along with American governance, along with Canadian governance. But I will not engage in any conversation that considers the possibility that one of the options is that Israel shouldn't exist. First of all, it's intellectually dishonest. Can't happen. But it shows why anti-Zionism is necessarily anti-Semitism. Forget about philosophy. Who suffers from anti-Zionism? Jews. The reality of the Jewish situation in the world, for the vast majority of our experience as modern people, was October 7th. It's like a science fiction movie where the medieval hordes somehow, through a space-time slip, end up into the 21st century. Only these people weren't born in the 7th or 8th or 9th century. They were born in the 21st. Teshuvah is about how we turn, particularly how we turn towards things that are difficult, things that feel awful, things that are challenging. But I think that the teshuvah that our day and age calls for now, the teshuvah towards remembering where we came from. And that there, but for the grace of God, good people, good governments, the United Nations for a moment, the English for a moment, the Americans for a moment, or many moments, we wouldn't be here. Because our safety, our health as a Jewish polity relies on a strong Israel, and a vibrant Israel, and a healthy Israel. May the year to come be filled with far more peace than strife. And may we all continue to deepen our connection with the land and people of Israel through our familial connections, friends, community engagement. But I encourage you to engage with some teshuvah wherever you stand on the state of Israel. Thank you.
Turn to page 292 for Vidui. Please rise. We stand in humility, conscious of our failings. Shma Koleinu, Adonai, hear our call. True sacrifice to God is a penitent spirit. You treasure a crushed and repentant heart. For you are close to the brokenhearted, and you give strength to the suffering soul. You are the healer of shattered hearts. You are the one who binds up their wounds. For thus says the high and exalted one who lives forever, whose name is holy. I dwell in a high and holy place, but I also with the downcast and lonely, to bring a new life to despondent souls, to restore and revive repentant hearts. Return now, Israel, to Adonai your God, for you have fallen because of your sin. Take words with you and return to God. Ask the Eternal, forgive what is wrong, accept what is good. We stand in humility, conscious of our failings. We set before you the wrongs we have done. We trust in your compassion, for you know who we are. Shma Koleinu, Adonai, hear our call. Page 296. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we return to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong.
Take our fists. Let me gently tap our hearts. Want to help me with the key, Hannah? The key, tap, tap. Yeah. So we sing together. And if you weren't here last night, then you'll catch on pretty quickly. It goes like this. Tap, tap, tap your heart. Tap, tap, tap your heart. It's Yom Kippur, so it's time to restart. Yeah, 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 Ashamnu,
Shamnu,
Bagadnu,
Bagadnu,
Gazalnu,
Gazalnu,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Hevinu,
Hevinu,
Vehirshanu,
Vehirshanu,
Zadnu,
Zadnu,
Hamasnu,
Hamasnu,
Tafalnu Shaker,
Tefalnu Shaker,
Ya. Yatsnura,
Yatsnura,
Kizavnu,
Kisavnu,
Latsnu,
Latsnu,
Maradnu,
Moradnu,
Niatsnu,
Miatsnu,
Sararnu,
Sararnu,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Pashanu,
Pashanu,
Sararnu,
Sararnu,
Kishinu Oref,
Kishinu Oref,
Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shichatnu,
Shichatnu,
Tiavnu,
Tiavnu,
Tainu, Anu.
Titanu.
Together we read, of these wrongs we
We are
are
guilty. We
betray,
betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely, we are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander, we devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey, we abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes, we are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. Our turning away from your mitzvot and laws of goodness is a hollow pursuit. You are just concerning all that happens in our lives. Your way is the way of truth, while ours leads to error. What can we say to you whose existence is beyond time and space? What words of ours can reach your realm? Beyond the clouds, beyond heaven itself, every hidden mystery, every revelation, surely you know them all. You know the secrets of the universe and the secrets of the human heart. You know and understand us, for you examine our inner lives. Nothing is concealed from you, nothing hidden from your sight. Eternal One, our God and God of our ancestors, we pray that this be your will. Forgive all our wrongs. Pardon us for every act of injustice. Help us atone for all our moral failures.
Page 300. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha be'ones uv'ratzon. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha be'yodim u'velo yodim. Together we read,
The
ways
ways we have wronged you.
By choice and harm we have caused in your world.
consciously and unconsciously.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bilui da'at, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha beritzat raglayim lachora.
Ways we have wronged you through
harm we have caused in your world through impulsive acts of malice.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחוזק יד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בזלזול הורים ומורים.
Ways we have wronged
You by abusing our power.
and the harm we have caused.
in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha v'yetzer hara, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chashut oref.
The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through inflexibility and stubbornness. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכחש וכזב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בקלות ראש.
The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world by making light of serious matter.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'siach siftotenu, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'tzarut ayin.
Ways we have wronged you in our
In conversations, and harm we have caused in your world through envy.
Page 304. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'galui uvesater, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'sinat chinam.
Harm we have caused in your על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפריקת עול, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במאכל ובמשתה.
The ways we have wronged you by losing self-control. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'gilui arayot, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'imutz halev.
Ways we have wronged you through sexual immorality,
And the harm we have caused.
by hardening our hearts.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בנשך ובמרבית, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במשא ובמתן.
The ways we have wronged you.
And harm we have caused in the world through dishonesty and business.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'hirkur halev, v'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'irchilut.
Ways we have
Wronged you through our ignorant thoughts.
caused in your world.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחפת שוחד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחילול השם.
The ways we have wronged you by offering or accepting bribes, and harm we have caused in your world by profaning.
Your name.
This is a post-October 7th confession, vidui, written by Yael Schweid. Ahavnu,
Ahavnu we loved,
bichinu,
we cried,
gilinu,
we discovered new strengths in ourselves.
darashnu,
We called on them again and again.
himshachnu,
We continued to conduct our lives, to work, to run our homes, to take care of our children and elders.
vitarnu,
We sometimes gave up in so many senses.
zacharnu,
We remembered those who died, the mourners, the wounded, and always the hostages.
hamenu,
We had compassion.
tilfanu,
We called each other with concern.
Yashavnu,
We sat together.
Ka'avnu,
We hurt so much.
Lamadnu,
We learned to also lean on others.
Machalnu,
We forgave each other for small harms, perhaps not enough.
Nashamnu,
We breathed. We could hardly breathe sometimes, but we breathed.
Talachnu,
We forgave ourselves for moments and days of brokenness and exhaustion.
Amadnu,
We stood in the squares and intersections.
Patachnu,
We opened situation rooms, our hearts, our pockets, for whatever was needed.
Sipinu,
We looked forward to good news.
Karanu,
We called out from the depths with fury, with desperation, with pleading, and from within our doubts.
Rakadnu,
We danced at happy occasions despite it all.
Shataknu,
We were silent sometimes.
Saradnu,
We survived.
Tahinu, Tamanu, Tamachu.
We wondered. We questioned. We supported one another. And we will yet build, recover, and repair.
At this time, I invite you to be seated and turn to page 308. And over the next few pages through page 312, find your own prayers in your silence. Turn to page 313. And I want to divide the group in half. So if you envision yourself, I don't know, right there. So you guys are A and you guys are B. You can decide in the middle where you want to fall. A, I'm going to lead A in the couplets, and Rabbi Laurel lead B. So page 313, for every act of goodness, let us affirm the good we have done. Let us acknowledge our acts of healing and repair.
For the good we have done by acting with self-restraint and self-control.
For the good we have done through acts of generosity and compassion.
For the good we have done by offering children our love and support.
For the good we have done by honoring our parents with care and respect.
For the good we have done through acts of friendship and hospitality.
For the good we have done through acts of forgiveness and reconciliation.
For the good we have done by keeping promises and honoring commitments.
For the good we have done through the work of our hands and by serving others.
For the good we have done by caring for earth and sustaining its creatures.
For the good we have done by housing the homeless, feeding the hungry, and welcoming the stranger.
For the good we have done by acting with integrity and honesty.
For the good we have done through thoughtful and encouraging words.
For the good we have done by caring for our health and that of our loved ones.
For the good we have done by strengthening our Jewish community.
For the good we have done through acts of civic engagement and tikkun olam.
All these have brought light and healing into the world. May these acts inspire us to renew our efforts in the year to come. I know that Tiffany is going to come up and make a few announcements. I want to say that I want to thank Rodney Ellis's office. They provided us with bus transportation for about 15 residents of the tradition. Raise your hand if you're here, you live from the tradition. We're so glad that you're here. I want to thank Rodney Ellis's office and also especially one of our members of our leadership team, Margie Levin, who helped facilitate this process.
Good afternoon. Take a breath. We're all in this space. We're in this moment. So I'm going to ask you a question. Why leave? You don't have lunch reservations. There's no football games that you can't maybe just catch the highlights on ESPN. So I challenge you to stay. If you haven't already RSVP'd for the workshops, it's okay. We can add space for you. But for those who have and are planning to enjoy the rest of the day here, for the poetry workshop, that's the only workshop that is on this level, and that will happen in the Joe Franklin Theater, which is the black box. The other 4 workshops will happen downstairs. There's an elevator and stairs, and there's signage, JCC staff. We will show you where they are in the rooms below. Art will be in room 102. If you're doing yoga, that is in the dance studio. If you're doing the Angels Workshop with Marian, that will be in room 102. And if you're doing the Solomon one with Nanette, that will be in room 104. But we will be there to help guide you. And those start at 1 o'clock. After that, they conclude around 2:30. And then everyone is welcome back in here to have some Torah text study with Rabbi Laura and Rabbi Scott. And then from there, we're just going to lead on into the next services. We have healing service at 3:30, where people can come, and we invite you all to come and stand under the giant talit that's behind me. It's a really remarkable spiritual awakening service that if you haven't yet been part of it, I challenge you and encourage you all to join for that. Then we fall into Yisker around 4:30, into Ne'ilah at 5:30, and then we conclude with Havdalah. And then if you register for breakfast, it will happen in the auditorium at 6:15. So I encourage you all to stay, continue on this path of whatever you're searching for and are needing for this Yom Kippur. Also, if you're a part of our high holiday choir, we will be rehearsing here in the theater at 2 p.m. So please make sure that you're here for that. And I just wish you all a wonderful rest of the day. And I look forward to seeing you all throughout the rest of the services. Thank you.
Would you all please rise? Page 316, Shma Koleinu.
Adonai. Aleinu, Aleinu. V'kabel berachamim, berachamim uvratzon et tfilatem. Hashivenu Adonai elecha. Hashivenu elecha v'nashuva. Kadosh Yam Yameinu. Teken. Al tashlichenu. Al tashlichenu. Tiklo. תעזבנו. Adonai. Svera Aleinu, Aleinu. V'kabel berachamim, berachamim, uvratzon. Tefilotah.
Theodore Herzl wrote the words, Im tirtzu enzo agada. If you will it, if you want it, if you dream it, then it is no dream. And indeed, Israel is the fulfillment of the Jewish dream that was thousands of years old. And it is a place where 7 million Jews, most of whom wouldn't be here in the world were it not for the state of Israel. May we remember the guiding light of Jewish history and the reminder that we need and always must have safety and security. May we all go forth in peace, kindness, and joy into the new year. Thank you, everybody.
Sorry, that was